Hi everyone, it's Clint again with Clint's Classic World. Wanted to talk to you briefly about K-frames, the muscle car K-frames on the B-body and E-body vehicles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over some K-frames. We're going to get into them a little bit, talk a few subtle differences here and there. So let's get on to it. Hope you'll enjoy. Okay, so let's get started in talking about these K-frames. These are V8 K-frames for these Mopars. I'm going to talk briefly about some subtle differences and some larger differences on the B and E body K-frames. So, what we have here, first of all, is this is the front right here of the K-frame. Then you have the back of the K-frame, which is back here. Right here, this area and that area, that's where the engine mount would mount to. And then right here, you see, this is where it bolts up to the frame of the body. Now, something that I noticed is a subtle difference between the B body and E body is right here. This area right here where this mounts up for the power steering or non-power steering gearbox. Right there, that area right there, and let's take a better look at it. As you can see, it's at a slight angle. So that angle changes very slightly between E and B body. So that's something that a lot of people do not realize. Something that I noticed, and I'm not sure, I'm honestly not sure if this is true or not, but I've noticed it, is if you notice right here, there's a little square. That square, when I see that, every K-frame so far that I've found that has this square was an E-body K-frame. There's also one that has a circle, which I will show you here in a second. You'll see one with the circle. And that actually came out of a B-body. So that's quite interesting. Also on this, you notice right here, you've got these holes in the side. That is for a sway bar. This bracket, there's a bracket that goes right here and a bracket that bolts up right here, and the sway bar goes from underneath. So let's take a look. First of all, I'll get to the sway bar in a second. I want to talk to you about the date code and how you can find out, well, okay, I'm looking at this thing. How do I know what year this came out of? Well, and I have scraped this off, and if you come down here, right here, you can see slightly, and it's very tough to see. I'm trying to get a good shot of it, but that says 2599 and then a 1 spaced off. There's the 1 way over here. Well, 2599, this is the 259th day of 1969, and this is on the first shift. Okay, I believe there were 2 shifts of people working. So this one was made on the first shift, but it was a late 1969. So this would go for a 1970 vehicle. And again, this would be an E-body K-frame. Okay, so let me turn this thing over and let's take a look at the backside. Okay, so here we are looking at the underneath of this K-frame. And it's, again, a standard V8 K-frame. The sway bar here, if you look, you can see how it has indentations here. Again, that's where the sway bar would slide, and it would actually go through in here and come out the other side, and then it would bolt up right here. But this is the standard setup. Let me walk around it. On this other side here, this is, now I flipped it over, so this now is the front, and this would be the back right here. And when you get into some of these, the big block K-frames like a 426 Hemi or even a full 40, depending on the year, you would have a skid plate that would go right here. And we will take a look at that here soon. So let's move on to the next K frame. Here we have the next K frame. This is a B-body K frame. Again, look here, notice there's a circle. So this would notate B-body K frame. Of course, this would be at a different angle than an E-body K frame. And we come down here. Ah, look at this. This one has a coin. This coin reads 79. The number 79 would be a number that you would find on the build sheet. But that number corresponds to a B-body K frame with a full 40. And it would come with a skid plate. So underneath this, when I turn this over, you will see a skid plate. This as well is a 1970 B-body K frame. The date code again is right here, and it does have the number 1 over to the side, which means it was done on the first shift, and it's a late 69 date code. So this would be for a 1970 B-body. Let's walk around the back. Looks very similar to an E-body K frame. Very similar. Let's turn it over and take a look at the underside of it and see what the differences are. As you can see, there is a skid plate right here. There's your skid plate on this B-body K frame. It has the 79 coin on it, which calls for a 440 with a skid plate. This would have been a 440 B-body car, and there's your skid plate. So that's what that would look like. Again, this is the front, and this back here, all that would be the back. And as you can see, again, there's an indentation here for the sway bar. These holes here for the brackets that would hold the sway bar in place. Sway bar would run underneath this skid plate, come out the other side, and go towards the back and point towards the back. Actually, this is the front, so it would actually go this way, twist out that way. Let's talk a little more here about this coin and the different coins that you could possibly find. I'll give you some of the numbers here that you can possibly find on these K frames on an E and B body. So first of all, on a 1970 E body, 318, 340, 383, you could see the number 12 on the coin. And these coins could possibly be round, or it could actually be oval. So there's several different variations, either a round or an oval coin. Let's say for a 1970 E body with a 426 Hemi, you could see the number 14. For a B body in 1970 that may have possibly a 318 or a 383, you could see the number 90. The number 94 would be for a 1970 B body with a 426 Hemi. Number 77 would be for a 1970 E body with a 318 or 383. Also, you could see the number 77 on an E body with a skid plate early would be a 440. So there are some numbers for those coins. Not all these K frames will have coins. Now let's talk about the bad boy of K frames, the 426 Hemi K frame. This here is an E body 426 Hemi K frame. has a 70 date code. It's a 70 E-body. And there's the number 14 on the coin. As you can see here, the mounting areas for the engine are different. If you look over here, this is a 440 K frame over here. Now again, this one is a B-body 440 70 K frame. But it does have a skid plate, and this one has a skid plate as well for the Hemi. But if you notice, look at the differences in how the engine bolts up. And that's just because the Hemi has its totally different setup for bolting the engine up. So this block here is what you would see on a Hemi K frame. Let's take a look here. I'm going to go around the sides. As you can see, they're very similar. Some similarities you do have right here. Sway bar mounting is similar. I mean, it's pretty much, it's the same type of V8 K frame. It just has some modifications that were done from the factory to support the engine mounting. Again, this is the front right here, and this is the back. I'm going to come up here. Again, if you look here, look at the angle. Okay, and this K-frame here is a B-body, and this one is an E-body. I'm going to go straight over the top. Look at the angle here. It's very close, just slightly different. Yes, it is different mounting, but the E-body and the B-body, the way that the gearboxes mount up, it's going to be a slightly different angle. So let's take a look at the underneath of this Hemi K frame. Here's the underside of the Hemi K frame. As you can see, it has the skid plate. Now, something to note, this is a 70-71 type skid plate. In 1966, I believe, to 1969, the skid plate for a Hemi would have been different. It would have been a rectangular type skid plate. This is a more of a triangular type. This one we would have seen on between 70 and 71. Again, you can see the indentions here for the sway bar. So the underside here, it looks very similar. There's not much of a change between this and a 440 on the underside type of the part of the K-frame. Here is another look of the Hemi K frame, which is here, the 70 Hemi K frame for an E-body, and the 70 440 K frame from a B-body. Again, notice, very similar. The underneath of these are very similar. Obviously, the top for the Hemi, that's where the differences are huge. I hope you've enjoyed the video here on K-frames. Please subscribe to my channel. Until next time, drive them, restore them, don't crush them.